Hello, friends, and welcome to Talking with Famous People. This evening, I will be one of two persons donning the suit of he or she who wears the host duties, namely myself and Rachel. And I pose the provocative question: do you remember when we thought we knew things? Remember back then when we thought we understood? You thought you were at least 5 minutes late. Remember when you used to think you knew when you were late or not? You don't remember that. You don't anymore. Hi, lawnmower. Well, I want to tell you that it's true. As a world, we used to think we understood things. As a world, we no longer do think that.
It's true.
We may have never understood things then or now. That's certainly possible. It may be that our actual understanding hasn't changed. But it used to be the case that people seemed, at least, to think that we broadly understood things. You know, that there's a clear distinction between what counts as science and what counts as clap, track, and hogwash. It used to seem clear cut. It used to be that, the ends don't justify the means was sufficient to end a line of argumentation. Yeah, but that's justifying the ends with the means with the end. So, that can't be right. Oh, you got me. Now people stare blankly at you. What are those words? Things are different. It's not like I'm saying that we've lost this knowledge that we had before. It's that we've lost a undeserved but comforting false sense of certainty. Now, Erasmus wants to frame it the other way. He says, we used to understand that we didn't know things back then. Now we don't understand that we don't know things. Okay, so we're both right, Erasmus and me. So it's about what you're talking about, the frame or the contention level stuff. We used to think the frames were meaningful distinctions, and that we used the frames to reveal what we did not yet know about the contention level arguments. Now we understand the frames are flexible, and it's basically the mobs have broken down the fences and Katie barred the door. Not that I'm opposed to fully inclusive involvement of everybody in the discourse. I am. But I'm just saying that because the nature of the public discursive space has changed so dramatically, that humanity needs to change how it understands and whether it understands. What's going on here? Says Angantyr. Are you a cop, Angantyr? That's very copish of you. What's going on here? What's going on? Do you mean, is that the same thing as asking me what's ongoing? Can you clarify the distinction? The power of question asking. Yeah, I mean, I wish it were as well, lawnmower. Although I'm not in favor of really it having some sort of axiomatic role that means people don't make arguments against it. The problem is once you open up the gates to critiques and other like off case arguments, and then like the first 12 destinations on that train route are all stops at varying towns in the land of relativism. And they're not good places to be, But I'm not sure if you can get to where you're going on a different train than that anyway. So, humanity is a bit anxious. That's a good way to put it, Bacon. I really think that humanity is being anxious. Maybe I'm projecting my own feelings of anxiousness onto everybody else as well. But I think that broadly, humanity has good reason to feel anxious. And like I see these, yeah, like I want to talk about the woman who had the like the shirt on, the COVID shirt on, that said, "That's not 6 feet."
Where was that?
It was at Wisconsin Garden. She was pushing a baby in a stroller. And anyway, it's a funny shirt.
It is funny.
So let's look at what that tells us about humanity. So you've got a person here who thinks this: when there's a policy or statement or prescriptive whatever words or whatever that fall into the category of community health safety politics, that what one does is one confers onto oneself ownership of a side or a position or something, and then you get to be certain about that. You may not be able to be certain about much, but you get to be certain about that. So this lady is certain that she's in the right being in the COVID alarmist camp. Now, obviously she's not, but that's not my point. My point is attaching herself to certain position statements and linking it to certain teams and groups and stuff is what allows her to be certain at all. Because in contemporary existence, where the perceptual control executed by the veneer of academia and science upon all of our minds prior to the internet is falling apart. It's falling apart because these scientists, quote unquote, can no longer agree on important distinctions, and concurrently, all the distinctions they can agree on have already been proved and scienced up, so nobody cares about it anymore, right? The only field of science that's really still alive and vibrant is math. Oh yeah, a humongous asteroid is supposed to pass Earth on the 6th. It's already the 6th, depending on where you live. Thank you for reminding me that.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to look up and see if I could see it in the sky. Let me Google that. Like, look. Do you think that if NASA had determined that this asteroid was going to strike Earth and that it was likely to strike somewhere in the continental United States or something, do you think they'd announce it? Do you think they'd post that news? I don't think they would. Because they can't, they're never very sure about where it's going to hit. It's almost impossible to be that precise about predicting its destination. I don't see anything in the news about it at all. That's meteor. Now, of course, we have all heard of it, so it is the case that it's being talked about. But also, I think there's fairly public access to NASA's like meteor searching stuffs. I don't see anything about it anymore. It's funny. I read about it a week ago too, and it's gone. September 6th, asteroid. That's why, because I put meteor instead of asteroid. There we go. Asteroid twice the size of the Pyramid of Giza zoomed past Earth's orbit Now it's twice the size of Giza. When I read about it a week ago, it was the size of Giza. It's doubled in size since a week ago. The phenomenon of an asteroid moving past our Earth is not new. Many times, space rocks of various sizes come across Earth's orbit. But this time, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration is tracking an asteroid which is twice the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza. It has zero chance of hitting Earth. It will pass by our planet on September 6th, more than 4.6 million miles away. That's 19 times further away than the moon. It's not close. It's not pass by Earth close. Why even mention it? It's further away than the fucking moon.
So we're not going to be able to see it?
I don't think so. I mean, almost certainly no. And the reason is because it's so far away, it's not going to be lighting up against any atmospheres.
True.
Like, the moon doesn't have enough atmosphere for it to rub up against it and get fire. And it's not going to get close enough to the Earth, so it's just going to be dark.
So it's just fluff.
So it's like, talk about dressing up a chihuahua as a magical dragon and everyone being disappointed.
Seriously. I like that
Eric, click my link. Okay.
analogy.
Old guy and young girl in some movie. I haven't seen this movie. It looks
What
like Up,
movie is
though. It looks like the animation from Up. But whatever movie this is, I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's Up or not.
I've seen Up, and I've never seen. Maybe it is. I don't know.
I'm just saying it looks like the same style
It
of
does look
animation.
the same style. Yeah, it does.
I've never seen the movie.
Cute. What is it? Octavio Silva?
He looks like you, but in like 10 years. So are you saying I'm going to look like him in 10 years? Or he's going to look like me in 10 years?
That's a good question. So, where's it from?
I don't know. Octavia didn't say. Don't monitor my fear. So, I really think we have undergone we have not undergone state change yet. We are currently in a process of state change, which is the transformation from one equilibrium state to another. So, like right now, what tends to happen in state change fluctuation, which is notoriously volatile, is this phenomenon where it goes like this. We don't have enough cheese. Everybody get more cheese. We have too much cheese. Everybody get rid of cheese and now go get rocks. Get rocks. And everybody gets rid of cheese. And oh no, we have too much rocks. Get rid of rocks. Everybody get rid of the rocks. It's like that happens during periods of state change.
Yeah.
Which is this crazy volatility because it's because the grammar of the ecosystem is changing. In other words, the ecosystem is now home to many more predators of this species that historically has been able to nursery its baby fish underneath these lily pads. Well, the addition of all these new predators has dramatically reduced the number of lily pads because the fish eat them. And I need to put that part in. And the point is then maybe the new equilibrium, that species that was thriving there before, is displaced because there's a lot of bass in the lake or something. I'm actually referencing an experiment talked about in the Quanta article that I linked in a video yesterday saying this one, not the other one. Anyway, in this particular study, what they did to study state change dynamics, they had these experimental lakes in Canada. Interestingly, I read again about these experimental lakes But today I read about them on a practice SAT test. There's an excerpt from an article about them. But I was already familiar with them because I had looked into the research on different kinds of curves in, distributions. Look, I think it would be either impossible to start any kind of actual cult, or you're an asshole. One of the two, at least, right? So I could say I could start a cult. Well, the truth is, no, I couldn't. I would never be able to start a cult. Because for me to start a cult successfully, I'd have to say, okay, I'm no longer going to take into consideration any of the principles that I've applied so vocally and openly and vociferously for years heretofore, and suddenly do a complete about face, and instead of always erring on the side of not exploiting people, I'm going to begin taking pleasure in exploiting people or purposely exploiting people. I can't see how it could even possibly happen, right? So if you're asking a serious question about can you start a cult, that's an interesting question, because the answer is, if you're a good person, no, you won't be able to do it. Only like sociopaths would be able to do it, BMAC, I agree. Cult leaders do correlate strongly with beards. However, I'm not going to agree that beards correlate strongly with cult leadership. And that's really the relevant point. Something that somebody said earlier really tickled my funny bone. Somebody here, I don't remember who it was. It might have been Lawnmower, might have been Bacon, might be somebody not currently here. When I discussed the proverbial Bigfoot, or the apocryphal Bigfoot, they said they think the Navy's looking into Bigfoot. Isn't that a great statement? The Navy would be looking into Bigfoot because, of course, Bigfoot is not a water-dwelling creature. It doesn't live in the ocean. I hope it's true. I hope somehow, some way, someone somewhere thought it was a good idea for the Navy to investigate Bigfoot. That would just be well, you know what I would take that as is a sign that like we're starting to run on three normality cylinders. Like weird shit just keeps popping out of reality. You know what I'm saying? Bigfoot is not our theme tonight. It's what I'm saying is this: there's been some sort of paradigm shift. The world is different than it was. Part of why I'm saying this is Rachel and I watched part of a YouTube video that popped up in my recommended videos. There's a 1984 broadcast of KNBC Channel 4 News. In 1984, I was 13 years old, and there's a very good chance at that age, in that time period, that I actually watched that broadcast live, because I frequently would watch either the 4 or 5 p.m. news, local news. I always watched Channel 4. If my mom was home, we'd watch it together. And then, back then you had 2 shots at the news, and then there was programming. This was in 1984, so we're talking about just before cable. We probably had a VHS player. So you could watch the news at 4, at 5. If you missed it, you had to wait till 11. Then, shortly thereafter, we went from like 4 channels to a jillion. Bigfoot 1984, Kurt Meyer, Channel 2 News, John Nolan. Are you telling me there's a local news broadcast from Los Angeles featuring Bigfoot and you just linked it to me? When says, Mom, I want you to stand as a model for how to segue between disparate topics and find a single media artifact that distills the beauty of both. That's what she's done here. She's found a 1984 Channel 2 News broadcast story about Bigfoot, weaving the storylines together. Very good.
Very good.
Very impressive. I'm going to mute this because I got to see this video. Well, Mrs. Mom, I applaud the effort. Okay, it counts. I did not clarify. I did not clarify.
I was thinking Bigfoot, like the one who travels.
It is my fault, Rachel, because since I did not specify anything about which Bigfoot I was talking about, I left it totally open for her to make the argument that I could easily enough be interpreted to be talking about the monster truck. I'm not talking about the monster truck. I am talking about the large ape-like creature that is part of cryptozoology, as they call it. That's the word for it. The cryptozoology star Bigfoot, not the monster truck Bigfoot.
Yeah, the one who travels in the forest. He's known for being in forests.
Yes.
And mountains.
Which is why it's so intriguing that rumor has it the U.S. Navy is looking into Bigfoot. Very surprising.
Oh, I'm so lucky to have a fun man.
Well, you know, when I'm commander-in-chief, I'm going to take bold action like that with our military as well. I'm going to say, okay, Air Force, you go live in tunnels underground. Navy, you fly in the air. Okay, Army, from now on, you're going to be a synchronized swimming unit.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Mm-hmm. We'll just switch them all around randomly. Navy will do land stuff. Army will do air stuff. Air will do water stuff. And we just have, it'll be a chore wheel.
I haven't heard of anyone think of that idea before.
Well, look, if the Navy can handle Bigfoot, then I bet you they can handle airplanes as well. And why do we even have an Air Force? Navy? Well, here's the thing. What is the Air Force? It's a group of people who've stolen a bunch of Navy ships that happen to fly in the air instead of the water and called themselves something different.
You're right. You're so right. This is a great argument.
There was no reason ever to create an Air Force. That's the job of the Navy. The Navy's in charge of all ships that float and carry things. It's not water specific. It's floating ship specific. Email Anthrax says the Navy does handle the Air Force. What do you mean they handle them? Get over here, fly boy. I gotta put my hands on you. Okay. Patting you down. You're fine. Move along.
You need to get a handle on it. So.
Navy Air Force cuddles. Navy Air Force forced cuddles. Gentlemen, commands come down from on high. The Navy and the Air Force need to get along better. And General McCarthy has instructed us to cuddle. You will refer to your cuddling pamphlet for proper cuddling procedure. You will not cup. You will not fondle. You will merely cuddle. Air Force is looking for Chupacabra.
I wish they could find it, actually.
You know what we should do? We should send the Canadian Mounties in search of Chupacabra while we send the elite Mexican force known as the Calientes, up into Canada to harvest maple syrup. It's the old switcheroo. And when people ask why I'm making these decisions, I'll say, haven't you ever heard of the old switcheroo?
It happens.
Yeah.
That's a big thing in movies.
The old switcheroo.
The old switcheroo.
Army Basic had you line up nut to butt. Were you naked? Or in clothes? In order to reduce sexual tension in the military, each of you will be assigned a shower buddy. This will be a platonic only shower buddy. This will allow you to attend to your showering needs without any increased sexual feelings.
I don't want to have sexual feelings when
Well,
we're not to.
We're not going
butt.
to join the military, darling. Don't worry.
Okay.
We're not going to join.
We're not part of this.
No, I'm not. I've decided not to join the military. I was this close to signing up yesterday, but I changed my mind. Do I feed myself with the blood of goats? No, I don't even feed myself with the flesh of goats. I don't like mutton. It's disgusting. Yeah. Be sure to fully lather your shower buddy. Johnson, you have not lathered all of your shower buddy. Drop and give me 20. But my hands are all soapy. Try some drop and give me 20. I'm going to slip.
You bring up a very good point. You are going to slip.
Yeah. Bigfoot sighting
Oh my goodness.
reported in California.
Katie,
Alexandra Leonard.
you're sleeping.
October 12th, 2017. Well, look, I'm not saying, and I don't think it's likely that there are any Bigfoots in California, okay? But I think it's, in theory, conceivable that you could have an undiscovered population of large primates in the vast Canadian forest somewhere.
Certainly.
Now, look, I haven't seen anything utterly convincing, like indisputably convincing, nothing like that. But okay, well maybe NorCal, maybe close to Oregon, but so I've not seen anything to convince me that Bigfoot's real at all.
See, I feel like he's like on the Appalachian Trail, like, but not
It's got to be
that.
too busy with people, though, right?
Yeah, but it's like this. It's like southern Midwest sort of tree like area. Like they always find him in that like little section.
Right, but I'm trying to think. Like, okay, here's my initial instinct is, look, almost certainly there's no Bigfoots because if there were a Bigfoot, we'd have a specimen by now. Is sort of the general notion,
Like
right?
a footprint or something.
No, like somebody would
Oh.
instead of taking blurry pictures of them from afar, would shoot one
Yeah,
and bring it
true.
back.
Or
You
like
know,
they would find some kind of turd, wouldn't they?
or you know, a skeleton. Now I've seen some trippy ass shit watching some of these Sasquatch things that make you go like, I have no explanation for it. The trippiest thing I ever saw on Bigfoot was when Les Stroud went to this Bigfoot area and he came upon, it was clearly not bullshit at all. It looked like a large pressed down thing of grass. You could imagine potentially, if you don't know anything about animals or anything, you think, well, I could easily have a large bear could have pushed that down and sit there. It's clearly some sort of bed thing, but it probably wasn't a bear, just because there weren't indications that it was a bear besides that in theory could be large enough to do it. But here's the trippy fucking thing. Right in front of it, there's a complete and unbroken apart, bleached skeleton of a seal that had been obviously laid out there like this, okay? And it's not a seal that had naturally died. It was like the bones of a seal that had been eaten, except whatever ate it didn't break any of the bones and kept this perfectly like museum quality looking skeleton all whole. So that tripped me out. It's like, okay, there's no chance a bear did that. And they were way in BF nowhere, Canada, you know, and in this area that was protected, and like the natives up there, the native peoples up there, had to give them permission to go to this area. There's no way that thing. I mean, I don't understand how. Well, this is the thing I don't understand is what besides a human, and I don't even think a human could do this, or something like that could successfully kill and eat a seal without breaking the bones, without breaking the ribs and stuff, without breaking any of them. They showed signs of, having been. It wasn't. It's Les Stroud video. Les Stroud is the guy that did Survivor Man. I knew him for years, having no notion that he thought anything about Bigfoot at all, because his Survivor Man, show, it wasn't about anything, cryptozoology at all. It was just he'd go out in the wilderness for 7 days or however long and try to survive without really bringing much shit with him. And he didn't even have a camera crew. He just filmed it all himself. He's like my hero ISTJ. But the other thing about that is he's not a Bigfoot guy. He's a non-Bigfoot guy looking into the thing. Yes, look, I am not going to disagree with anybody who says about whatever I might present that the thing I'm presenting is not possible to be faked or whatever else. I agree with everybody who wants to say the burden of proof has not yet been met by the pro Bigfoot people. I agree with you completely. And by and large, I don't feel as though my intuition going, there's something there, should be trusted on this matter, because my TI is saying this is the sort of thing you dismiss immediately because it doesn't pass the smell test. If there'd been Bigfoots for all this time, why would we never fucking get a single skeleton of one or a single body of one? Well, they eat their dead. Somebody said they eat their dead.
That skeleton thing was cool though.
Yeah, that was trippy.
Yeah.
The above link is for Les Stroud. Oh, cool. Yeah, Les Stroud is the only one of those outdoor survivory kind of guys that I can really enjoy watching. I mean, I kind of like Naked and Afraid, but it really depends on which the people are who are on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Listen, guys, I've asked you before. I'm going to ask you again. If you're going to clone sheep, please do it outside. We've got about 40 or 50 sheep in here now, and I'm being deafened by their bawling. Don't baw so loud, you sheep. You're bawling too loud at me. Saying bye, 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 Bobby. Like I was Bobo Peep. What would you take if you were naked and afraid? The first plane back. I would not last fucking one day on naked and afraid. You've got to have either polar or ignoring SI to have a chance on that thing. Maybe tool function. ESTJs, ESTPs, and ENTJs can do that show. Nobody else can even begin to, or ESFPs. Nobody else can possibly do it. It's just like, well, we're not cut out for that much discomfort. You can't kill Bigfoot in Washington and more odd animal laws. I'm glad you can't kill Bigfoot in Washington. It makes me really glad I crossed the state line border before I pulled him out of the van and shot him in the head. I was like, woo, close one.
Can't you see it? Was Eric doing that? You're such an ESTP.
Yeah. No, I would never shoot a Bigfoot. If I had found a Bigfoot, I wouldn't shoot it. I'd take it home and breastfeed it.
That's probably more likely.
Come on, big guy. I'm going to take you home and breastfeed you. You don't have any boobs, Eric. Okay, well, I'll get you a bottle. That's not the same. So let's see what Les Stroud says. He says here, proof Bigfoot is real. These tree structure things, I don't know what to make of that, really. It is trippy that these tree things, it's trippy, but I don't know quite what to make of it. Polish it up. You still never say it was proof that Bigfoot. It doesn't prove it. You hear that? You hear what? Big feet are seldom alone. Try to kill one and they will kill you. I don't want to kill any big feets. I like big feets. You know, I just want to discuss with them the matter of allowing themselves to be have pictures taken of them and stuff like that, you know. Give a couple of interviews. Look, I'll be the mediator between the big feet and the humans. I will explain to the humans, guys, I'm going to bring a couple of big feet out here. Do not get all grabby and shit, right? Just let them answer a couple questions. They're going to go back in the woods. Don't go try to find them. Just be cool.
It's probably the best way to do it.
Right?
Because you have pretty big feet yourself, right?
12 is not that big because
I don't know.
The thing is when you hear the size of shoe size of basketball players, you realize 12 is not that big. Some basketball players have shoe size like
14.
20 or something, 18, you know?
Crazy.
What would be your biggest wish if I were Bigfoot? To go back to being human again? I don't want to be a Bigfoot. I'd like to have a Bigfoot friend that's willing to do occasional news interviews with me. Especially if he's willing to let me publish them on my channel and have propriety over it. Shaq had that like a size 24 shoe. Wow, that's big. Twice as big as my feet.
Oof.
Be
That's some big
like
feet.
that.
Wow.
Like this, you know. You're gonna keep him. You're gonna keep asking feet questions. I like that sentence. You're gonna keep asking feet questions.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep asking feet questions.
I wonder how Shaq likes that.
Couple quick reminders. Deal with it. And of course, not on my watch. Just want to make sure people haven't forgotten about that. When did you hit puberty, Eric? Well, I'm hopeful any day now.
Me too.
I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and
the yams.
I still have the exact same amount of hair in the exact same places I did when I was a newborn baby. Obviously, puberty hasn't hit yet.
No, it hasn't. Your voice hasn't changed either.
Yes. True. CDR Nomad. Come along and you'll see. Soon I'll be hitting puberty. Yeah. Yeah. Puberty. In me. Can't you see? Puberty. Puberty. Look at my pubis, you'll see. It's covered with puberty.
You equals 6.
This is like, Eric, were you taking speed? This sounds a little flaky to me.
You a lighter?
Yeah. Sean O'Neill was a very late bloomer. You were almost 17 before puberty started. I'm sure it must have started before 17. I was fairly late, I guess, around 14.
My friend Kathy was like 16, 17 when she
Had a period?
Yeah.
That's late.
Yeah, she was late. She was very tall and lanky.
I'm tall and lanky too. That's why my puberty. My puberty budded a little later than some.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Careful, Eric. The more you think about Bigfoot, the more likely he'll manifest into your household. Listen, ain't no accidental manifestation coming from this man here, all right? I don't accidentally manifest shit.
Bigfoot.
I don't even purposely manifest shit.
Yeah, it's true.
So, no, I am not going to be held accountable for accidentally manifesting Bigfoot in my house. If Bigfoot shows up in my house, it is because she manifested it. I'm joking. I'm joking, Rachel.
We manifested him together, okay, babe?
All right, darling.
No. I definitely, I would manifest him. It's true. We would be able to do it together. We'd be able to get a Bigfoot. I guarantee you we're going to hear some shit in the woods.
Well, the first thing we need to do, first thing everyone needs to do, if you want to get in touch with your inner Bigfoot or an external Bigfoot, is first you need to gently stroke your pubis. Now, your pubis is a bone that sits right here in the pubic region. It's what's sometimes known as the dock of the genitals.
Ooh.
So
the dock of the genitals?
Yes, the bone dock. Because it's a
I
bone.
know the bone dock.
It's a bone inside
of you. I've been researching the bone dock a lot lately because some people say the bone dock is related to the jaw connection.
The bone dock's connected to the throat dock. The throat dock connected to the nose dock, right? That's how it works.
That's how I'm knowing. Well,
I'm sure it's at the dock of your bed. That's pretty a pretty youth colloquialism aware pun.
Use my bag.
Rachel's not needing some Bigfoot action, okay?
No.
Being with me is like having a living Yeti.
It's true.
Bigfoots are cool, but Yetis are big feet with cool snow clothes.
He keeps me cool.
Not today. It's so hot over here today.
It's so hot. It feels like a New York summer here. I'm not lying at all. Like, it's got the humidity plus the heat. I feel like you could, right? You just walk outside and it's a wall of hot.
Yeah, but, I'm willing to put it aside for a second because somebody here just gave me a really brilliant idea. I want to start a charity, a nonprofit group that is there to circumcise the big feet once we get them integrated into society. That's going to be their goal, their dream. Look,
I feel bad.
The big feet men may not like it, but we're doing it for the ladies.
No, it is for the ladies. I totally agree with you on that. But I think he should have a say. I mean, he's probably been living like that for a while now.
Look, all I'm saying is when a Bigfoot comes to us in a time of need with too much foreskin and he's ashamed of himself, he needs to be able to afford the surgery.
You're right.
That's what this charity is for.
Okay. All right. You get your wishes granted. Bigfoot will be circumcised on the day that we capture him. I feel so bad. I'm not going to be the person who delivers that message.
What? I mean, we got to have a kosher big feet.
I'm not saying it's for the women. It is for the women.
Look.
But he has to, I mean, like, maybe he's in the men and he's...
it's more than just that, Rachel. It's about harvesting nature's resources. Is that a new tent, Eric? No. It's a Bigfoot foreskin. They're fully water resistant.
What if it's really smelly?
Well, I mean, it is at first, but once you lay down in the sun for a while, it just seems to be like, it turns into kind of a really soft leather. Oh. It's also rainproof. It's great.
Like it's kind of like a leather wallet skin.
I'm not going to lie. The charity is actually just a front for my attempt to convert Bigfoot foreskins into camping products.
Oh.
And make a fortune.
You could, because it's a lot.
The key trick here is first we've got to convince all the big feet that they will go to hell if they don't get circumcised. So we're gonna need some Bigfoot evangelists, fear evangelists, to go do the psyops part of this operation. Foreskin is just like beef jerky. If you were treating it like beef jerky, you were
That's
letting it go to
scary.
waste, young man. You think cashmere is soft? You ain't ever touch soft until you snuggle down into a warm, wrinkly, delightfully brown Bigfoot foreskin. Even the largest of big feet, you wouldn't think their foreskin would be that big, except one of the weird things, the unique qualities of the Bigfoot is a Bigfoot's anatomy. They have sort of regular sized penises, but their foreskin extends up to 6 times the length of the penis out beyond it. So one of the reasons I'm advocating that we start this charity is because obviously that's why the population numbers aren't so great for big feet. It takes like 15 minutes for the Bigfoot to roll back his foreskin before he pokes. At that point, he's not in the mood anymore. Damn right they'll be made. Jimmy Choo has already placed his order. He's got a back order. He's waiting for the materials from me. That's his finest shoe, he said. He promised me it would be his finest shoe ever. Bigfoot is probably online listening to Making Plans to Go Deeper in the Woods. I don't think Bigfoot has radios. Pretty sure. If they do, they only have AM radio, okay? They might have AM, but they definitely don't have FM radio yet. They're still working on it.
Where he is, or in Canada.
Well, we always can take some sort of solace in the fact that we know there's that population of domesticated big feet under the sea being herded around by the tunicorns down there. So if need be, we could eventually go send some divers down there and retrieve a couple of them to restock the woods.
You should call the Navy.
See, yes, well, that's why the Navy's involved. That's why this is how I know it, actually. I deduced this from the fact that I heard a rumor that the Navy was involved. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I really hope I could see that. I could show you that. But that home run of the person's cardboard body getting hit. And then
Getting hit again.
getting hit again.
See, it's not nearly as unlikely as lightning striking twice, though. Because,
Oh my
of course,
God.
there's a splay of spots where it's most likely to hit if it go if it's a home run.
It's so funny though. Like the guy's back up, like it hit his head so that like he's sitting up straight again.
He should demand his money back. He should call and be like, you owe me my money back. My cardboard face was hit with a baseball. That physically really hurt.
Oh, Eric, you're so funny.
Thanks, darling. No, they're natural people's email answers. Big feet don't work that way, okay? They're loving, they're huge and strong, but gentle as a summer's breeze.
What's the name, Winston's mom of the astrologer? I told Eric after the Sunny reading that I got, I have realized I've hit my peak of astrologer stuff, man. I am so tapped out. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to use it as a tool always.
You burned out the tweak is what you did. You had something you're tweaking out on. You hit it too hard. Now you burned out on it.
It's true.
Naturally occurring occasion.
Yeah,
There's nothing to worry about.
It's like I have great synastry with Eric. I'm happy about that. I have boobs. He has nice boobs too.
Could I sleep in a Bigfoot woman's boobs? No.
No,
Because
not
here's the
that
thing.
can happen.
No, I mean, he's talking about utilizing them as a natural
I
resource.
know.
Let me explain. Although they are big feet, and the women share this quality with the men, they're a remarkably flat-chested species.
Oh. How did you know that?
Intuition.
Oh.
I intuit a lot of stuff.
You sound like Raul Dago.
Well, here's the thing. In the hands of somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, intuition is just making shit up, right?
Mhm.
But when I intuit things, it's just a little more special.
I can't wait to meet her.
You're talking about my pet butter dial?
No,
That,
Bigfoot the woman.
oh, Bigfoot the woman. Well, I will produce her one act play in which she complains about Bigfoot hormones mostly.
Getting her period late in life.
How's Bigfoot? Me period? 6 months. Weak human woman. You know nothing. First 6 weeks, death cramps. Non-stop. Why do you think we have so few kids? My vagina's the size of a keyhole. And the baby, it's like 14% of big feet women live through childbirth. Oh my God, Harold, we have to do something. She is so strong and brave. No, Bigfoot women are too serious to read steamy romance novels and erotica. They have wide birthing hips, but teeny tiny vaginas. It's a horrible tragedy of nature.
Am I intuiting anything with a Bigfoot lady?
Look, as a newly anointed cryptozoologist enthusiast, I get to know things. Okay, I just know them. I don't have to have reasons.
Oh, there was something that you did, and in my head I was like, oh, I forgot he's transracial. Sometimes, oh, what was it? Oh my God, I wish I remember. But something you did, I was like, oh yeah, he's transracial, and I felt like you were Italian in that moment.
Well, you do bring a thought to mind. I could probably have a better chance of getting a meeting with one of the major big feet if I try when I'm Native American. I mean, Indian feather not dot. I prefer to be called Indian feather not dot. I think Native American is kind of a white people term imposed on us by like leftist college people.
Well, yeah.
So
by leftist college.
When people ask me, I always say I'm Indian feather not dot. Everybody knows what that means.
Not dot.
Feather not dot, right? The dots are the ones from India, you know. The feathers, that's like me, Native American. You know, Indian, feather, not dot. How? Not how'd you like some curry, okay? Another way to put it is how, not how'd you like some curry. Would you ever have sex with a Bigfoot woman if you found yourself single again? No, of course not. I have no desire to have sex with a Bigfoot. Just because I'm interested in big feet right now. And I admit, I've watched a couple of things the last few weeks, and I've got a mild fever of curiosity. Very, very mild compared to other things I've been more interested in, right? But just because I'm slightly into Bigfoot right now, effects, as a general rule, that does not mean that you should conclude that I want to fuck that thing, okay? Life doesn't work that way. I'm also kind of getting into old coin collecting. Doesn't mean I want to fuck them. Not very good at old coin collecting. That was just a creative. I took creative license there. Racist. I'm
not racist.
James, I'm transracial. I can't be racist.
He is transracial.
I've been every racial. I've been every race. I've suffered as a disenfranchised person, as an African American, as a Mexican, as a French Canadian, as a Taiwanese person. All of these things. You don't know me.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to be all those different races, have it change randomly. One time I was in the middle of doing a pitch, a meeting. I was killing it. The clients were like, they were eating it up. And then all of a sudden, I turned Italian with a Swedish accent. They thought I was fucking with them. You know, I try to explain, look, like a lot of people, I'm coming to terms with some things I was maybe in denial about for a while. I'm not cisracial. I'm transracial, and I'm fluidly transracial.
Yeah.
So people tell me I'm racist. I say, boy, that's the pot calling the kettle black like it has a chink in the armor or something. Unacceptable. Full of racial slurs. You have reason to believe I've never been Finnish? Well, let me tell you this. I will never be finished with being Finnish. Okay?
You handed that one on a silver platter.
If I was a part of a fish, I'd be the fin. Why are you booing me? I'm not speciesist.
Hey!
Just because I'm not transspecial doesn't mean I'm speciesist. I am cisspecial, but I really, really respect
I
transspecial people.
seriously mean that. Like, he really did something very Italian, and I was like, oh yeah, he's transracial. Like, sometimes
Racial
you
slurs.
just-
Listen, I don't use racial slurs. I do use Rachel slurs, though. You Rachel, you?
I slur.
Finishes the final evolution of Charizard? Wow. I thought it was Charmander. Are you sure? Oh, okay. The final evolution of Psyduck?
Psyduck.
Look, pots only call kettles black when blind squirrels are busy breaking clocks before they bust their nuts twice a day in random locations. Would it be cultural appropriation to sing a Strauss song in its original German language? Absolutely not. I don't know what it means to appropriate a culture. I think it means it's appropriate for you to act like whatever culture you want. I'm assuming. Because it's arbitrary. Okay. Email Anthrax. It is true that one of us wants to fuck with Bigfoot. Clearly. But that person is not me. Email Anthrax. It is clear. You've been thinking about this for a long time. Longing to get your little penis up inside that curvaceous. The hole is very small, but inside it's like a massive cave. Lawnmower's reasoning is as follows: if a woman shows her face on TV, I'm allowed to stalk her.
So who is stalking?
Some woman on TV. Lady McWoman pants. Okay, so I'm gonna pull a bowl now.
Can we do it at the same time?
Absolutely, darling.
It's like crossing streams and movies,
Well,
you know?
I've been waiting for us to really begin working on our synchronized bong smoking routine for the 2036 Olympics. Is going to be it's going to be one of those introduction sports. I haven't given up on tarot. I never had taken up on tarot.
Okay, why don't
I don't hate tarot.
Definitely no, he doesn't hate it.
I don't hate it at all.
We just did a reading actually 2 days ago, or was it yesterday?
I'm gonna read the fuck out of Octavia Silver right now.
Oh yeah,
Octavia Silver
really
thought she was tough. Well, now she's getting the fuck right out of her right now.
Oh, it's on.
I'm reading the living hell out of you. When you get this face, you know you're in trouble. Okay, Octavia Silva. This is for your ego block. That's your first and second functions in the front of the stack, your dominant and your dual function. You got
the Hangman.
It was right the first time. The Hanged Man. That means right now, for you, there's a conflict inside of you. Should I really spend time feeling the cherishment of my adoration for this moisture? Or should I just go out there and do some shit? Well, as long as you're here, that means you're in the first one, F5. You haven't transitioned to SE. SE, you bring that tool function to bear. That's going to turn this upside down man right side up. Okay, so that was your ego block. Now, Octavia Silva, the next two functions I'm going to do for you are the 3 and 6. Okay? 3 and 6. This is your absolute value scorecard and your counter value. I'm going to do 2 cards for it. Absolute value scorecard. Ace of Swords. Okay, so that means your absolute value, which is Ni, you're gonna stab that one stab like you always do, but this time you're gonna stab into a particularly meaty part. Now your counter value function, not so fun. The counter value one, huh? A little bit more challenging, that one. What do you get? You got this guy. It is four swords. You can see about your counter value function, your SI. You're like, you mean I gotta keep track of all 4 of these swords? Pretty much sums it up. Now, this function here is for your 8 and your 4. 8, 4. Your 8 and your 4 combined. That's your unconscious tool and your begrudging tool, sort of. Oh, look at that. You got the Hermit. So what I like to say about this card, Octavia Silva, and this is about your 4th and your 8th again, so that's going to be about your TE and about your TI. You just keep holding on to your fire stick. Now, TI may normally be something where if you're not going to be able to light other people's sticks with your fire stick, then it's not really on fire. That might be true for TI. But for you, with it in the 8th slot, and for your TE in the 4th, you just be responsible for your own fiery stick. Don't let anybody take it. And don't take anybody else's fiery stick, and you'll be just fine. That's the moral of this story. Okay. And then lastly, we've got your 5th function and your 7th. I'm going to do those separately. 5. This is your absolute value for the external world. Your ignoring function, as they call it in socionics. Queen of Swords. So that's for your FE. And in fact, your FE is quite a queen of swords. It's like you talk logic stuff, you talk abstract ideas and stuff around here. You're chatty, you're engaged, you're queen of swords in it up.
You're like, let's tarot.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak about it.
I
I challenge you, Eric.
All right, I'm sitting here peacefully, and Octavia runs up like this. You hate tarot. Okay, I'll pull tarot cards for you. Very effective.
It was very effective.
And now your 7. This is your blind spot. Oh, that one. Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands. So I think that the Knight is better than the Page, that it's a little more mature dealing with it. So for you with your any polar, you have a surprisingly mature and practical approach towards it. Well, one way possibly is that you come and soak in it here periodically. You know, a sensible approach, since I spew it from all my pores.
Yeah.
And that's the Octavia Silva.
I would like one for PB, please.
Okay, can you pull this here while
Sure.
I am going to pull a bowl?
Oh, sorry.
No, I just need to move this for a second because the camera's on top of the weed.
Oh, I see. I see.
I forgot we had this other weed too. We're actually really doing great on weed. We have enough weed probably for all of tomorrow too. Okay, why are Canadians not considered Americans? Good question. Because they don't live in America.
All right, how many cards am I pulling for PP?
I think you should put 1 for PP, 1 for David Sanderson.
I already got 2.
Okay, and then 1 for how PP and David Sanderson's spirit paths inform each other. Okay, David Sanderson, you and my cat have a spiritual conflict of some sort. So, in other words, basically, when my cat's vibe comes on your vibe, David Sanderson, you want to, go whoring and gambling. PP wants to go get in a fight. You drive each other to evil. So stay away from my cat. No. What's this one for again?
I don't know. Either David.
Oh, right. David Sanderson. This is you, David Sanderson. You're paging the cups. It means you're kind of immature about your emotions. You're being kind of immature about your emotions right now. That's what that means. This is PP. She's restraining herself and not smacking you around for your immature emotionality. That's temperance. So-
Is Pee-Pee the woman behind the rainbow?
No, Pee-Pee's the woman with the white stuff shooting out of her head.
No, I mean in this one.
Oh. No, Pee-Pee's just out of frame. She's over here eating some tuna-flavored cat food.
Oh.
Okay, so anyway, we learned a lot today about David Sanderson and my cat. You guys could probably tell and feel the vibe from him before, but he's long. I can just sort of tell that he and my cat are natural enemies. Why are Brazilians not considered Americans? Okay, because Brazilians are named after a nut, and there's no such thing as an American nut. That's why. Okay, South America is not its own continent. That's a myth. It's called North America South. Why are Native Americans called Indians? Considered Indians? Look, James, Native Americans is some white person word to try to make us Indians change our name for no reason. I am not a Native American. I am a Native American. And that's why I prefer to be called Indian Feather Not Dot. That's the most native way Americans prefer to be called, right? I natively want to Americanize my name and call myself an Indian. That's okay. Stop your ontological assault on my disenfranchised personhood. No. Indian's an Indian word, obviously, email Anthrax. Who do you think made up the country's India's name? Do you think it was Americans? No. It was Indians from India. That's why we make the distinction. Indian feather, not dot. How? Not how'd you like some curry? Am I Occidental? Listen, Oriental and Occidental are schools of design, okay? Since I'm not, say, an installation art piece, I can be neither Oriental nor Occidental. Yeah, if you want to use language properly, you could say Asian or Caucasian. That would be appropriate because you're talking something real, like a race. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. Wait a second. Race isn't real. Am I a United Statesian? No, I'm a Californian. I'm a Californian, and I am part of the American Federation of States. If I want to be all like libertarian-y about it.
Am I Californian now?
Technically, you're still a New Yorker because your driver's license is still a New York
Yes.
driver's license. Yeah. But I don't believe in the term Caucasian because, from what I understand, the proper official racial name for Caucasians is white people. So I think Caucasian is a conspiracy by the so-called South Americans to convince us that white people are a subset of Asians.
You know what's BS?
What?
New York State's not doing it does ballots. What do you call it? Absentee ballots.
Oh, it doesn't do them?
No, they decided not to. Isn't that BS?
It's going to be a weird election. It's 2020
I
is
don't
weird.
care. I'm not voting.
I
The only
have no
thing
position
I
on
wanted to
that.
do is put your name on the ballot.
Oh, thanks, baby.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we didn't handle that sooner.
Now, why it's a TE thing? You know, I don't really mind. I just wanted to do it for you.
Oh, don't
I
worry
wanted to
about
put your
it.
name on. Other than that, I'm not.
Thank you, though. I appreciate your wanting to support me. So let's address some of these things here. Racism isn't real. Who knows? I mean, people hating figments and then conferring that identity status of that figment onto individual people occurs. Groupism is always the same thing, though. It doesn't matter what the group is. So it's like really, racism is not special. People think racism is special or something. Like, what's far more damaging to the democracy is political groupism. It's those damn leftists, it's those damn conservatives, it's those damn Democrats, it's damn Republicans. That kind of groupism is way, way worse because that is harder. Like people feel as though they have some justification in it because they don't understand that a political position, if not something decided, but rather something defended, turns immediately into ideology. Footism is the real threat. Ever since.
That's what I'm more concerned about. Footism. I'm into this. Next place that I go to, I'm going to be looking for big feet.
Right. Well, this is the thing. I think we can all tell that even though they're not showing themselves yet, their marketing departments are hard at work. The Sasquatch Nation has employed some of New York's most high-profile marketing teams. And I think we're looking forward to some cool social media campaigns coming up this year, promoting both the existence of the Sasquatch and the nobility of the Sasquatch, and are advocating that Sasquatches should not be circumcised so that their foreskins can be used for sleeping bags. Now, I'm going to oppose that last part. Personally, I'm opposed to that last part. I think they should be circumcised. But other than that, I agree with them. Here's the thing. Do you know that in the status quo, we think America makes the money? No. That's the Federal Reserve, a private bank that's printing fiat currency. And how does it enter into our economy? First, they give it to the big feet. The big feet banks loan it to the Canadian native peoples. The Canadian native peoples then use that money to buy American goods. And that's how it filters back into the American economy. Who came up with this plan?
Who did?
Well, obviously, Bigfoot.
Oh. You're a very good detective.
Email Anthrax says this: I would rather you take the dog away from a man who beats his dog and see the man beaten for beating his dog. So here's the deal, Email Anthrax. I would like to see the government take the dog away from the man rather than beat the man. And then I would like to see somebody in the man's family hold him accountable in a more concrete fashion, say a couple of uncles or brothers or something like that, making sure that there is that actual violent retribution. You know, there's grace in violence sometimes. If somebody's abusing dogs, I agree the government should treat them as property and maybe take the dog away, but not beat the man, right? I agree with you about that. But that doesn't mean that I agree the man shouldn't be beaten. He just shouldn't be beaten by rule of law. I mean, if you're torturing animals, a beating is the least you deserve. And the thing is, you're probably going to be a murderer at some point. You know, those people are the ones who turn out to be like serial killers. People who aren't made, you know, unbearably squeamish by animal suffering. You can't. I would put it, you can't trust them further than you can throw them. Similarly, people who are made squeamish, when I make people suffer by shoving my foot up their ass, well, those people are wrong for being squeamish. So, you know, works differently for animals from for adult people. Animals and children get separate rules. You know, it's like if meanness to animals and children is much more painful to even think about or observe than like watching an adult male get beat up or something is much less painful than seeing abuse of entities that I perceive as more vulnerable. Eric, 58 minutes ago. Bigfoot is not our theme tonight. Right. It's not our theme. It's what I would call our cascading motif. It's different. Okay. It's a systemically affected cascading motif, or what you might call an inverted allegory twist.
Well put.
James, why do you keep saying racist? Who's racist? Nobody's being racist to me. I'm the only one here who's subject to racism because I'm the most disenfranchised. See, because we believe in races, we necessarily pit competing identities of disenfranchisement against each other. Sorry, I know you're disenfranchised, you gays, but you're not as disenfranchised as me, so we're not going to talk about your disenfranchisement today. I get credit for disenfranchisement of every single race on the planet, including North Koreans.
Wow, that's great.
Uh-huh.
That's essential for being a president.
And you know who's obviously the most racist person in the world? Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
He obviously hates the living hell out of North Koreans. He's imprisoned them all. Talk about racism.
That's true.
It must be racial because, I shit you not, like 100% of the people that he's imprisoned and enslaved in North Korea are Koreans. If that guy is not racist, I don't know who is.
Yeah, that definitely is.
Beating a man for being mean will not make a man less mean. No, in fact, it'll make a man more scared. And understand that, most people who are doing things they know are sketchy press their luck somewhat hesitantly. And because what they're doing is actually wrong, they know it's wrong. They're going to feel guilty. They're not going to feel they've been wronged by the punishment. And if they're decent human beings. Now, if instead they're sociopaths, then I'm not really worried about them, frankly. Animal privilege is a real thing. Right. Like, I can't believe there's a law that says we can't kill Bigfoot. There's no law that says we can't kill people. What, are Bigfoot more important than people? Ridiculous.
You bring such good points.
I know. Wait a second. You're saying there is a law? That's illegal? Oh my God.
To shoot Bigfoot?
No, people. It's like a small fine? Life in prison? For each one? I jest. I'm not a serial killer. Don't want to kill Bigfoot, Lawnmower. That's mean. Don't say you want to kill Bigfoot.
That is mean.
I'll tell you what. We can agree on this. Let's negotiate with the Bigfoot tribe that to put out a super old, cancer-riddled Bigfoot that wants to have euthanasia, and get the Bigfoot to play along. So when you rush up, you pretend like you're sneaking up on it, and it pretends like it sees you the last second. It gets it and roars as best it can because it's got cancer. Then you shoot it, film the whole thing, and say, "Look, obviously I had to shoot it. It was very angry, but also look, I did it a favor. It was riddled with cancer." And then give an impassioned speech about how pesticides are ruining our world. We're really putting together some plans here. Hey, Lawnmower, even if Bigfoot shows up at the end of my bed at night, I'm still not going to shoot it because I don't have a gun. And the gun that's around here, it would take me 15 minutes at least to get it out, put bullets into it, make sure I knew how it worked, You know, there's zero chance. I'd have to have a lot of forewarning of something coming for the gun here to be of any use at all. You know, we do have a bolt action 22 rifle here. I think it just shoots one bullet at a time. And I can come up with some hypothetical scenarios where I get it out of the closet, but they're pretty far fetched, you know?
That sounds cool to me.
Yeah, anybody who wants me to stop their robbery with a gun needs to call ahead and give me plenty of notice. Because I don't really know how to work guns, so. If I woke to Bigfoot whispering in my ear and stroking my thighs, what's he whispering? That's the important question.
That's a good question.
You know, is he making sense? Is he arguing that C.S. Joseph's Four Sides of the Mind is correct? C.S. Joseph's right, Eric. Trust me, I'm Bigfoot. Oh. I wouldn't scold Bigfoot. I'd say, hey, look, I don't want to embarrass you. I don't want to reject you or whatever. But look, amongst humans, that's considered flirtatious. Let's say coquettish, you might say. In other words, you're cueing me that you want me to fuck you. And I'm guessing, Bigfoot, you don't really want me to fuck you right now, right? What? Fuck me? What? Like, well, look, you got a 2 foot long boner. And that foreskin is flopping around like one of those limpy armed guys at the car salesman's lot.
Yeah.
He's whispering about wanting the Jack Flink's jerky. That's a possibility too. I wake up and he's whispering in my ear, "Snap into a Slim Jim."
It's a throwback.
He's a big Bigfoot. Okay, that's not normal for big feet. He stars in Bigfoot porn. I gotta poop again.
With the foreskin. Okay, I can take over if you need.
All right, thank you. I'll be back shortly.
Okay. Oh, you can see me. That's where. It's a hobbit with big hairy feet. That's what Bigfoot is. Yeah, sparkly phone case. Frodo Bigfoot Baggins. Hey, I found bacon. Hey, lawnmower, what's up? How's you guys doing? We're on the search for Bigfoot. I really am now. With all the hype, how can you not? Hey, Levi Samuels. I'm good. It's hot today. You're making hot chocolate? Nice. Do you like the kind with marshmallows or without? I like to put marshmallows in my hot chocolate, but I do like to use like the bagged marshmallows. No, David Sanderson. And that's not how my name is spelled. My name is spelled Rachel. Marshmallows are good. My favorite marshmallow, though, is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. I used to have a pencil sharpener of him as a kid. I got it as a goodie bag present. Wellies made California interesting, Sean O'Neill. I thought Wellies is. I don't know what you mean. I haven't seen Zebra, no. Well, yeah, I have in the zoo, in the Bronx Zoo, but how tall is Rachel? If you're asking about this Rachel is 5'2". Yeah, that's Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Thank you, Winston's mom. That's what I think about when I think of marshmallows, but I also do like to put them in my hot chocolate. Oh, that's interesting. Orson Welles, what a weird guy. Gotta say, Sean O'Neill. He seemed like a strange man to me. I mean, 1984, everyone talks about. I never read it, so I can't really comment. But I saw a movie about him, and he just seemed like an kind of an eccentric guy. I couldn't take anything else. Eccentric and smart, but I didn't really take much else from the biography. Aww, Rosebud. Thanks. You get it, 3DR Nomad. See, I never saw I haven't seen yet Citizen Kane. I think that should be on a list of things that we watch just because it's considered one of the best movies ever made. But I have yet to see it. It was said Afghans were the most beautiful people, so Europeans became Caucasian. How about a taste? I don't know what you're referring to. I've never seen it. I've never heard about that. There's a lot. I've never seen Kung Fu Panda 3. I've only seen the first one because I used to be a babysitter and I had to watch it because it was one of their favorite movies. There's no shadow there. INFJs are just dark sometimes. There's no shadow, ENFP. Oh, thanks, Sean O'Neill. Clearly, I don't like either of them. Orson Welles is a weird guy. That's what I learned from that book, from that biography. I don't know George Orwell at all, yes. So I can't really comment. It's a little, oof your mom lawnmower.
Right, one of these.
Thanks.
Oof your mom.
Yeah, because I got George Orwell and Orson Welles mixed up. But honestly, I think they're the same people, and that's why I mixed them up. So
They're not the same people, but
no.
it's easy to see why you mix them up because George Orwell and Orson Welles have the same sounds in them.
Yeah.
The same consonants, same vowels.
Thanks for understanding.
Sure. It's like when Delilah said, what did she say again? Oh. It's like I was talking about Burt Reynolds, and she called him like Montgomery Burts or something like that. You know that actor Montgomery Burts?
Yeah,
like,
totally like the same.
I don't know who you're talking about. You mean Burt Reynolds? He's like, yes, Burt Reynolds. That's not the same as Montgomery Burts.
That's so funny. Yeah, that is the same thing.
But
I
that's
don't know.
totally like an NI thing, right? Because the identity of those two names, Orson Welles and George Orwell, it's the same number of syllables. It's the same basic tones, and it rolls off the tongue as though it's the mirror image of each other. You know?
Yeah, like
George Orwell, Orson Welles. It feels like almost a forward backward thing. What's that called?
oh, a
I think it spells the same forwards and backwards.
anagram.
No. It's called a
Palindrome.
palindrome, right? Thank you. I was trying to remember the word by remembering the They Might Be Giants song. I palindrome my man, I palindrome my. But I was singing the melody in my head, but I couldn't remember what went with where it said I palindrome I. So that didn't get me there. Taco Cat?
Yeah, like Taco Cat.
What's Taco Cat?
Taco Cat is Taco Cat front to back.
Oh, that's a palindrome.
Hmm.
Sure.
Race car.
Poop.
Poop indeed. Peep.
Can you guys get Johnny Darkspeak on? Who's Johnny Darkspeak? I mean, if somebody wanted to talk to me, I can put a link to the conference room. The Darkspeak's the backwards language. So what?
You say, Lawnmower, you made a generalization out of one thing that I said. I said I never saw Kung Fu Panda 3, and I only watched Kung Fu Panda, the first one, because I was a babysitter and I watched it with the kids. That doesn't mean I have bad taste in movies. It just means that I kind of thought that was more of a child's show than a adult show, which I was right, because I only laughed half the time.
Don't defend yourself against lawnmowers.
It's a never
You're banging
ending.
your head against the wall. Not as much as some other people.
Kung Fu Panda is like whatever.
I think I saw the first one on an airplane.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember where I was going, but it was the movie on a plane.
That's how it goes. That's how it is. It's the movie that I was watching while babysitting. Like, it's a kid's movie. I know it has like adult. No.
What?
Oh, full album reverse? That's weird.
No, I know what I know what I'm getting into here. I'm fully aware of what I'm getting into, so it's fine.
Cool. I'm into this.
I thank you for existing. You know, there's a song by Donald Fagen. So you say there's a race of men in the trees. You're for tough legislation. Thanks for calling. I'll wait all night for calls like these. Yeah.
It's true.
The person who advocates for tough legislation against men in the trees is more special somehow than the other callers.
Yeah, who's coming in?
Apparently Johnny Darkspeak. They're into sweeping. They thought their floors were too dirty, and they'd been paying attention to Jordan Peterson, who said, "Clean your broom." So they cleaned their brooms and they posed with them for their album. Oh, okay. Well, that's not meowdy meow about little effie shit. Like, what's happening? What's actually happening? Well, that's the real question, right? Because what we all know is that when you're here it appears like some things are happening, but you know that half of it is the illusion I'm casting over you.
Yeah.
I am a master of illusion.
I'm master of illusion jutsu.
So, you know, a lot of people are fooled. They think this is a green screen behind me. That's not a green screen. That's a picture of a green screen. We just use a green screen back there to project it onto. It's not a real green screen.
Yeah, no.
Look, you say Jinjitsu, I say Genjitsu. Hi there.
Howdy.
You're not Johnny Darkspeak.
Well, I can leave if you want.
No, I'm not saying that. It's fine.
I just thought because they weren't here yet.
Oh, yeah, fine.
So.
Yeah. What do they say? The early bird gets the worm. Or they really should say the bird that just goes ahead and tries it gets the worm, you know?
Yeah.
or the bird that just says, maybe I should just suggest this random thing. That bird is the bird that gets worms.
I just wanted to say about the chunks of the words that are like so similar and get a confusion. I always feel closer to people for that. I feel humans are the ones that will see something similar when it's not, because mine is with people's faces, redheaded actresses. I know they're not all the same, but there'll be 3 that look all the same to me. And I will think for years that they were the same actors in multiple movies, and then I'm just finding out suddenly, everyone else knows but me, that there's multiple people that look really similar. I always think it's stuff like that, right? So
memory's questionably reliable. For years, I was convinced that in the movie Devil Wears Prada, the color they're talking about, that blue color, is called periwinkle. It's not. It's cerulean. And for years, I was going around talking about periwinkle, thinking I was referring to a color like this. This is not the color of periwinkle.
That's not periwinkle at all.
This is more like cerulean.
Yeah, that is.
I had a lot of big fish, small pond stuff, where I'm from Appalachia, and then I self-taught reading books, and then say words for the I'd be saying words, but I'd never heard them spoken out loud before, and people look at me you mean I said liaison instead of liaison. Right? I was in the Navy. I'm 18 years old. I'm oh, so you're the liaison, right? And I'm just saying it totally blissfully unaware.
Well, on a quotes page, one of the internet quotable quotes kind of things, I read a quote one time that said, "Respect people who mispronounce words. It means they learned them by reading."
Yeah.
That's how I like that one.
Yeah. People, I never heard anybody say enneagram until I had gotten habituated to calling it enneagram. I still call it enneagram. I don't know if anybody else really calls it enneagram. Everybody else I hear pronounce it enneagram, but I'd never heard anybody else pronounce it. I just read shit about it before I started talking about it. And then it was after I started talking about it a while that I heard somebody else use the term and pronounce it totally differently than me. I'm like, oh, is that how it's pronounced? Enneagram? It looks like enneagram to me.
I was in a civics class in 9th grade, and I said gazetteer, right? The old history books had the whatever.
Gazetteer? I don't know what that is.
Well, there's table of contents, and then there's a gazetteer is definitely not the right way to say it. I just remember the mistake. I don't even remember what it was supposed to be. It was probably that.
Is it Gazette, maybe? Magazine?
It's something. It's not gazetteer. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah. So stuff like that.
There's a word that I read a lot in science fiction fantasy books when I was a kid. It's spelled Demenses. And I never knew how to say it. I always just sort of said demences or something. But it's it's from the French, and it's pronounced domain, Domain. I had no idea how to pronounce it ever, really. And then another one is, I always thought that bodice. I always pronounced it in my head bodice.
Okay.
Another word that I read in science fiction fantasy books, bodice. But I for many years in my head Every time I saw the word, I just assumed it was pronounced Bodice. And I think one time I said, you should get a Bodice, like as a joke to some girl. Or, you know those things, those Bodices that people. So, Bodice? Yeah, you know, Bodice. It's Bodice. Bodice. They're not pronounced Bodice.
Right. Wow.
Because you know, it doesn't come up naturally in conversation very often, right?
I used to think weird stuff too. Like, I thought that Washington was the state, and my grandmother said Washington, D.C., right?
Mhm.
But she said like wash dishes too, and I, she's like that old timey.
My grandma did that too. She said Washington.
That's so cute.
Wash, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's that. That has to make sense to me. Like
Yeah.
one time, like I'm like. Head Start, right? And like, I'm like, oh, I know what that sign means. Like 4 years old in the car, right? Like pointing at something, like, oh, aha, I got it. They're like, what's it mean? I was like, no peeing, because we were from the country, and then we're like driving through the city and see the P with the no sign.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't pee anywhere. Like I would always pee
So
on like
funny.
something like that. So I thought, man, you just weren't allowed to pee like there. Like it's just funny now,
I'm looking at the chat here. Eric Moore says I get embarrassed when I misinterpret lyrics in songs. A lot of times I have no idea what the lyrics in a song are. I'm just singing ba 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 ba, whatever sound like the word, and then I could sing along just sort of syllabically with a song for a long time before realizing, oh, is that what that song is saying? I had no idea what that song was saying. So I don't necessarily even listen to lyrics that much. Delilah had some funny childhood lyric misinterpretations. She thought that because I'm Your Lady by Celine Dion, because we hear it on the commercial for like Greatest Love Song CDs, she thought it was called Osamio Lady, because that's what it sounds like. Osamio Lady.
Yeah.
And she also thought that Crimea River was called Crimea Beaver. So that's a little kid. Little kids, they just don't think about it.
Mine were like really frustrating because, like you said, like you like don't really care to listen to it, but I would like really love the song and then still have no idea what they're saying. Like Red Hot Chili Peppers, like with the birds I shared this lonely view. I had no idea what those words were forever, and I was just like, I love the song, and I like I don't even know what I used to think it was, but it's not that. And then like also the Portugal the Man song, where it's like, I'm a rebel just for kicks or something like this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little gangster. Like I'm just like literally just mumble mouthing it and loving the song, and I have no idea what he's saying.
I'm a little gangster. Yeah, right. I'm a little gangster. Totally. But the thing about that song is, it took me a long time to listen to the lyrics to it. Also, I just would go, man, and then finally I listened to it. Wait a minute, I'm a rebel just for kicks, man.
Yeah,
Makes me feel back in 1966, man. Like,
and that's more confusing because he literally changes it up. Like, he's in the verses. Like he does 86, 66, he bounces around. It's like a nightmare.
He does.
That's a nightmare, that song. But I love that song.
Well, I have a song called 1956 that predates that song. So I'm going to sue him for stealing my idea. People actually do that shit. They just like go, look, my thing is vaguely reminiscent of something sort of related to your thing. So I'm going to sue you because you're successful. No, I would never. I'm a rebel doing kickstands. Is that what it is?
No.
Or is that I'm a rebel just for kicks, man?
Well, it's not the same. There's that one.
I'm a rebel doing kickstands. That's such a lame line.
I'm a rebel with a kickstand would be better.
I'm a rebel just for kicks.
I thought I'm a rebel just for kicks.
It is, I'm sure.
Just
I think
for
Eric Moore
kicks.
is joking.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of the lyrics being, I'm a rebel with a kickstand. And it being a song like about a badass kid riding around on their bike or something.
But it depends on the artist. Like there's some voices that like I'll enjoy their music, but their voices just confuse me and my brain just like makes mush of it. But there's still people that would be like ostensibly like more difficult. But like Gwen Stefani, I know her voice. First time I heard that song, it's like it's not my fault you've been acting like sour milk spilled on the floor. It's my fault I didn't shut the refrigerator. Maybe that's the reason I've been acting so cold. Like I got that the first time I heard that. Like that's just some girl just doing like girl stuff, and I'm like, have 5 younger sisters, maybe. Like I don't know. Like that one was like not difficult for me.
I don't like her very much, really. She's not terrible, but it's like I don't like all the affectation she puts into her singing.
You have to listen to a lot of No Doubt. You have to listen to a lot of No Doubt for a long time.
Yeah, my second wife, okay, that was like her favorite band. And so I got introduced to way more of their catalog than any innocent man should be forced to endure. And frankly, that Orange County shtick lasts about 5 minutes before it loses its charm.
Yeah.
I loved Shania Twain when I was like a kid.
Shania Twain's cool. You know, I don't really know her music, but
just had that like Native American like thing going on, like just this drums and just like getting you going kind of thing. It was like I loved it.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, I make a lot of music, but I actually don't incorporate that much of my Native American heritage into it. I do periodically, you know, shout out to the teepee, shout out to the wigwam, shout out to the papoose. That's just being, you know, having basic street ethics, so to speak, in Native American, by which I mean Indian feather not dot culture. Now, as somebody from Appalachia,
Yeah.
you probably don't have a lot of fluidly transracial people like me around you. So you don't know necessarily how sensitive I am about it. I could be extremely sensitive or I could not be sensitive at all. But just be prepared for me to change race at any moment. Sometimes it's quite abrupt, and I don't want you to be alarmed. Bye, Levi Samuels. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.
Bye.
Yeah, there's a weird thing in Appalachia where people like suddenly at random times, like people like, so yeah, we're white, and like take that awesomeness that comes with that, like you're just the chosen people that conquer the world, and ignore all of history where white people are in their ass kicked by Genghis Khan, etc. Right? But like they do that, but then they'll say, oh yeah, but I've got Indian because that's cool right now. It makes me a better hunter, or like, you know, I'll go red on you, like just stupid stuff. But someone told me that in the incisors, like on the back of them, they're actually like scooped in. That's somehow heredity of Native Americans. Like if you're pure Caucasian, like your incisors in the back are scooped in. But I don't know if that's true.
Okay, well, when I go Native American, my teeth remain the same. But when I turn Chinese, I do get karate. It comes with the race. It's a free bonus. But as an ironic twist, none of my fortune cookies will come true when I'm Chinese. So, you know, it's a crapshoot. Let me tell you, being cisracial is fine. I'm sure you're fine as a cisracial person. I'm not criticizing cisracials, people who stay the same race for more than one day. But, you know, to really know what it means to experience racial injustice requires my kind of life, a transracial life. Some days I walk in to a place and they yell one racial slur at me. Some days I walk into a place, they yell a completely different racial slur at me. I say, hey, I was in here yesterday. And they say, yeah, but yesterday you weren't a brownie. And I say, hey, you're racist, mister. That's what I say. And that's how I get them.
I think the closest thing I ever experienced to white guilt, which I won't claim to have experienced that. I think that's kind of silly. But I went to a barber shop, right? And then this black barber was like asking me like how I wanted to be edged or whatever, like in my hair. And like on the side, I'm like, well, I don't. Like that's, and I'm like, oh. And then I'm like catching myself, like this is something I've been aware of, but I've never just like said it before, right? Like minorities will do this thing to get like this kind of shape and look instead of what they have, like because it's like this, you know, sort of, it's not really whitewashing, but like makes the hair look that way. And it's like,
dude, let me tell you, when I am black, my hair is so nappy, and I have to use one of those large combs on it, like this. It's got this, you know what I'm talking about? I have to use one of those kind of combs.
Yeah.
That just comes with the territory when I'm African American.
But I think other stuff is cool. Like, I mean, isn't it true? Like every time that like the thing that you like about someone that you're really attracted to and you're with, the thing that you like about them is the thing that's most distinct, and it's the thing they wish they could change the most. It's the thing they want to normalize the most. It's the thing that they wish they had one just like everyone else. But like that's the thing that you appreciate the most, right? Like,
yeah, that's not my experience. But I'm not saying my experience is opposite either. It's not like
Yeah.
I say, okay, here's Rachel's elbow. It looks weird.
I mean, in Vegas, right?
Let me just pretend this was the case, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say I imagine that Rachel's elbow looks weird. I would neither think that, oh my God, that's a part of her I love the most, nor would I think, oh my God, her elbow looks weird. I just probably would never fucking cross my mind.
Well, I mean, I like freckles. I like beauty marks. I like this kind of stuff. Like
you like a taut young woman writhing in your bed, covered in freckles. Is that what you're saying? You have a freckle fetish. Look, just get a Sharpie and draw a lot of dots on your chick. It's the same thing.
Just something that's a little different, like something that's like, because there's a reality where everyone is distinct. Everyone has something special about them. So in a way, the world's less confusing when people have distinct attributes. And I appreciate that I get to like have the world be dumbed down to me and live in a simpler world. Like it's easier for me to remember that, like, hey, we're not all the same. And that person's something completely different out of 7 billion people, right? Like, that's cool for me that people can have something like that. And it's like, on a basic level, remind me that. So, that's it.
Maybe you're properly positioned emotionally right now to watch a couple of episodes of Different Strokes. It's a wonderful 80s TV sitcom that shows the glorious goodness that occurs when you integrate poor Black children into a rich white family.
Well, I mean, that's the one with
let me tell you.
the really short guy, right? Like,
Yeah, it's what. Let me tell you that.
That's just a disadvantage, right? Like that's horrible. Right?
Okay, so what's the father's name in Different Strokes? Mr. What?
I don't remember.
Okay, so look, there's
Strokes?
there's the dad guy, right? He's got that hot teenage daughter who turned out Mr. Drummond, right? He's got the hot teenage daughter who in real life turned out to be just a just balls out fucking drug fiend, But I guarantee you, 2 years after bringing Willis and that little guy into their house, he walked in and his daughter, he walked in there and Willis is fucking the living hell out of his daughter. I guarantee you that happened shortly after he invited them into their home. It has nothing to do with their race, okay? It has to do with the simple and obvious fact you don't bring young teenage males, unrelated young teenage males, to live near your teenage daughter.
Right.
You might as well write on her shirt, please fuck me.
I've seen this show. These are one of my grandmas.
You've always seen Different Strokes. Well, good.
Yeah.
It was one of those sitcoms I didn't like as a kid because they were always trying to do a very serious episode.
Yeah.
And I hated those episodes.
Yeah, there was always some sort of lesson the brothers needed to learn or whatever.
And I never found out what Willis was talking about. What are you talking about, Willis? Will somebody answer the question?
There's like some kind of Well, actually, I have. This is a question. I don't have something to say. I'm just really curious about it. If you have any insight into this. So, the movie called Freaks that has the line like "Google Gobble, one of us."
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, it's like banned because it's just too intense, kind of thing. Like that is too much for me to watch that. Like, and it hurts me. Like.
So why does it hurt you? Does it make you feel socially awkward, or does it make you feel sorry for the people?
I see. That's what's weird is that it's just overwhelming, and that because like my uncle took me with him to school when I was 8 years old, like to go to college with him, and I was different than other kids. Like I met this woman for the first time, and she had no arms, right? And we're there having lunch, and then she's eating breadsticks with pizza sauce. And I never once felt bad or any pity or any negative feelings because I felt her feelings. She was happy, I was happy. That was it. And I didn't think anything about it because I just never met someone with no arms before. She's the first one. Perfect person to meet. She's happy. I just think she's happy. Like I didn't feel any bad feelings from her, So
Right.
it was fine.
So
And
she successfully managed that. So that the FE was handled. I
Yeah, I
have a quick question for David Sanderson. You mean right now, or tomorrow, or what?
Well, what I'm saying is like I was like 7, right?
No,
Like,
I'm asking David Sanderson. He's telling me that he's booked me for a debate. I'm trying to find out when it is. So just give me a second to get this nailed down. David Sanderson, when you say the debate is happening, do you mean right now or tomorrow or what? It's now? Oh, I see. Octavio Silva is asking what is happening right now. David Sanderson says the debate is happening. James says it is now. But I think there's a miscommunication here. No, David says no, it's not now, right? It's sometime later? Okay, fine. So never mind then. Continue with what you were saying.
So like that experience, like basically when I met someone, like I didn't do the pity thing because like pity is like to me is bad because it like is implicit that someone's inferior or something like this. And you know, I would see an adult that can move her legs and like do things with them that I can't and do that as cool. And I didn't see that as inferior at all, right? I'm not like thinking it out.
But is pity a choice?
No, but I mean like I didn't think that way because I didn't even think about it, right? Like I was just interacting with her, she's happy, I was happy, we just talked and it was like a normal, really, I was oblivious in a way that like
I don't think I'd feel pity. I think I'd feel like I'm in a situation that has this unusually it has an unusual FE requirement, right? It's like that's a circumstance requires me to pay attention to an FE thing that I wish I didn't have to pay attention to at all. Now, if she's doing her job well, FE wise, then it plays out like you said, where she's not acting like anything's weird, so everyone starts feeling comfortable pretty quick. It's not a big deal, right? But if she's not good with her FE, then that could be a very challenging FE situation for me, where I'm going to feel really uncomfortable and just be like, God, I don't want to have to deal with this. That's how I feel like when interface functions are imposed on me rather than chosen by me.
You just help me understand because I'm like trying to figure out because like I sometimes encounter someone and they could have like a birthmark on half their face and I would feel totally fine. I won't feel anything, you know? But then I could encounter someone else and they have something, like visible flaw or something like this, right?
Their bangs are too long.
If they feel shame, then I'm feeling their shame. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's confusing. Because like I'm like, why am I feeling it? You know what?
Because basically, you're concerned about what meanings are playing out here on this thing, right?
It's not that easy to separate their feelings from mine. Like when I identify them, like, okay, I know like I'm healthy, so I can stop that pain, I can stop this. But a shame one is difficult. Like the shame feeling, if it's outer appearance thing, because various reasons, I think like my mom being narcissist, maybe like the vanity thing or whatever, for me it's difficult. So like I'm worried, am I really ashamed? Like I'm worried if I'm shallow, I'm worried if I'm judging, I'm worried when maybe I'm just feeling their shame and I wasn't really shamed, you know what I mean? So
okay, so let me answer some questions here in the live chat. People are asking, who is this guy you're talking to, Eric? Who are you talking to? What's going on here? The answer is this is Sean. And the reason I'm talking to him is because he said, yes, he's an ENFJ, Jenny Barrera. Why are you spamming me? Look, the thing is, the reason we're talking is because I said, yeah, crazy people can come talk to me. That's fine. Of course, they didn't show up. But he's like, well, fuck it, I'll try. And I can always leave if he doesn't want me there. And why was I talking to him the other day? Because he's like, hey, can I talk to you? That's why. It's like, it's not that hard, really. It's just people don't do it. So it's really rare that somebody like Sean here just says, well, I will simply throw out the idea of what I'd like to see happen and see how it plays out, because I guess being an FE&I person, he's like, oh man, it's this FE aspect of this just fine. And if it does get a little cringy or something, those experiential memories don't stick with me, so fuck it.
I didn't think about it like that. I didn't even.
I'm not saying you explicitly thought about it like that. It's just my analysis of it.
I don't think it even happened that way. I think it was like a little bit weird that like I was just kind of in the moment going with it, that I was doing something. I think you just have a gravity, like a mysticism that most people have. Like I think that was it. Like it's not my fault. Like I just came too close.
Okay, have you heard of the Mandela effect?
The what?
The Mandela effect. Have you heard of this idea?
I've heard of Mandela, but not of the Mandela effect.
Well, the Mandela effect claims that things are sort of secretly changing from what they used to be. So that originally the Berenstein Bears were called the Berenstein Bears, right? But then when you look at the books now, it says Berenstein Bears. And a lot of people remember it as Berenstein Bears. And so there came this theory that like what's happened is that the past has changed. Like, for example, one of the ones that tripped me out a lot is I remember clearly in Star Wars in 1977 that C-3PO was all gold, okay? He is all gold. There is no half of him being silver in the movie. But if you actually look up the images from the movie, what I just said is not true. The first Star Wars, he's half silver.
Yeah, he's like white gold. Yeah.
That's not how I remember it.
I don't remember him like that either.
Anyway, that's this notion of the Mandela effect people came up with. It, well, baby, the past is changing. It's not true. The past is changing. But here's my thing I want to say, except in this one area. We used to have a person here whose name was Sarah Barrera. And I think the Mandela effect has changed her first name to Jenny, robbing me of her rhyming hilarity.
Jenny Pereira instead of
Jenny Barrera, you are not Sarah Pereira, but once you were, I believe. And that's why I think the past has changed.
I mean, I just remember when I came in and like everything was different, and then at one moment I was like, oh wow, where am I? What am I doing? And then I was like, oh my god, thank you for this. Like I, you know what I mean? Like somehow I made it awkward, like for that first instant, because I thought about what I was doing. But
Oh, for me? With me?
No.
Oh, with the other person.
When I came in the other time, when I came in before,
Uh,
I was thinking, I felt really at ease, and then suddenly I was like, oh my god, what did I do? And then I was like, oh my god, thank you so much for the typing thing and everything. Like I just was like, suddenly I was awkward. I felt because like I was just thinking about where I was,
you know,
and before I didn't think about what I had done at all. Like
here's the weird thing about that phenomenon, though, right? Like sometimes we presume other people remember about us a lot more than they do. Like, if I'm awkward, I am carrying that around with me as something that everybody who was within 100-mile vicinity of it must have caught some wind of it and be thinking about it right now. You know, even though the fact is, most people are thinking about themselves most of the time. They're not thinking about me, right?
right.
So, but on the other hand, there are times. On the other hand, though,
until that moment, right? Like I might have just been awkward the whole time.
Well,
yeah, right.
on the other hand, sometimes specific things will stick with me. I'll think about them a lot. But it's either like somebody I think did something wrong. Like, well, for example, Sunnyside took out a lease in my headspace for a couple of hours yesterday by unjustly banning me from his channel for absolutely nothing. I was just trying to sort of like be hey everybody. I'm just like insta ban. So anyway, he took up residence in my headspace for a while because his actions successfully inflamed my sense of injustice. But other times people might say something that I think is interesting or revelatory about something else, and I'll think about that specific point they made for a long time. But I'm much less likely to think about moments that just produce FE data by itself, unless it's really gratifying FE data. Then I might try to revisit that and go like, "Ooh, that felt really good. Everybody thought I was so smart." And
Can I run a theory by you?
Go ahead.
Okay, so, and there's more than these two types of people, but let's say this is the coin: authenticity, and people who value it. And people who value authenticity, they actually want to change, and they don't want to stay what they are because they want to grow, they want to get better, they value authenticity, right? And people who don't, they don't want to change because that means they have to learn to pantomime something else, and that's a hell of a lot of work. Like they're putting a lot of effort into this fake thing. And so when someone intelligent comes around, like, and I think that's why the term sapiosexual exists, because like there are people who value authenticity, who really like intelligent people, like are just drawn to it. It's like a real thing, or things that make sense, even if it's not like, you know, erudite or something. But if you just are consistently making sense, like if you're authentic and drawn to that, this is someone that can make me better. This is someone that can, like, you know, knock down doors for me, and I can get to my more better self because I value authenticity. The people that don't value authenticity on the other side of the coin, that's someone that's like, oh my God, you're gonna reveal my lie, right? Like, and I don't want to change because I do all of this stuff to like put this image out to the world, and it's a lot of work, and like this person will just make everyone see through me. Get them out of here. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Okay, well, I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
The thing is, I don't think that the opposite of authenticity is inauthenticity. I think
Okay.
the alternative to authenticity is team playeriness. So, you know, my own team playeriness is important. It's easily possible for a person in the world to ignore their own feelings and end up being taken advantage of by somebody else in an effort to sort of generally affirm a team playeriness that gets called derisively people pleasing. Sometimes people are engaged in people pleasing in a way that ought to be pointed at derisively, I suppose. But by and large, the term people pleasing is a term FI users use to invalidate FE as a whole, even though there's nothing invalid about it at all. It's not about being phony. It's about being a team player. So it's like you can see it in both me and Rachel. I don't really care if I get what I want my way or her way or whatever, because I'm not very sure what I want exactly, except at any given moment, I might know what I wanted. I feel like what I feel like playing, I know. But beyond that, it's a hard thing to know. Rachel knows when she doesn't like something, as do I, right? We know when our boundaries are being crossed to some extent. We feel like we don't like this. It could even be not our boundaries crossed. It could be a bad songs on the radio. We don't like this, you know. So we know we have some feelings, but by and large, what's much more important to us is that the other person knows that we're a team player and we're not going to be selfish. We're going to work together to agree on something that makes us both happy. Neither of us is attached to any specific outcome that much. If we are, we have a good reason for it. We don't like the idea of, hey, you've been kind of distracted. I was really hoping to spend some time together. Neither of us like that. And I'm not saying I don't like it and I'm sort of pushing it on to Rachel. She hides it a lot better, but she absolutely hates it too. She does not want to be told, you know, like, hey, I know you want to do this, but I was really hoping we could. She knows from her perspective, a good team player as a partner doesn't want to control his partner, doesn't want to tell her what to do, what we're going to be doing right now. That a good team player makes sure is cool with the other person first and stuff, right? In fact, as a matter of fact, FE players in general, FE types in general are such team players that even for people who have FI higher than me, they don't really refer to their own feelings, and sometimes that'll get them into trouble. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that FI is an interested calculus, and it's paired with TE because FI and TE are a package deal that says, I'm going to know what I want and how to get it. TI and FE are a package deal that says, I'm going to be a team player and I'm going to win the arguments. I'm going to be, my words will be defensible. So by saying words that everybody agrees with, I'll be on the same page with everybody, a team player, etc. The TI says you can be right and not agreed with. It's a necessary component, a necessary balance to FE, because FE says what matters is perceptions. It needs that balance because TI says what matters is correct. Now, there's a balance in FI and TE as well, because FI says what matters is what I want. TE says what matters is if we can afford it.
This is so good. This is so good. This just reminds me when I was in the Navy so much. Because like I would get a promotion or whatever, and people have a very like lowered expectation of me. And where I go in and care about feelings, like I could do better on maybe FE stuff than other people before me. And it would cause the people where I work to think that I was better than I was as a leader. Like somehow we were getting more stuff done. Like I was handling things, but I wasn't. I was just handling emotions better. I wasn't doing a better job. And then also the people that like just didn't care about emotions and get shit done, when they just pound and pound on people and people like hate it, they can forget all of that when they get the reward at the end, when they like this division is like elite or something and gets something special, gets like a NAM. Then they just totally forget all those like hard nights and all that, like, man, my boss has no heart whatsoever, like it's all gone. And then they all respect him. It's like the memories just mushed out, right?
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, for there are types of people who prioritize meanings and types of people who prioritize like either judgment or experiences. So it's like if I'm caring about getting the promotion, the fact that the person who was above me prior to me getting the promotion created a lot of interpersonal tension.
Mm-hmm.
Is just going to be seen as a hoop I had to jump through to get the outcome I wanted. For an FE user, it's going to be indicative of a systemic problem with this organization. Because it's like we have to value things like people should be fair and team players. And if you're gonna bust someone's chops, you should have good reason to, and you should do it in a way that's respectful, not in front of other people. All those things are FE concerns.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's phoniness. It's consideration from the other angle. Now, note with my FE, I never seem to really actually put myself in other people's shoes, though. And that's the FI thing. It's like when somebody says like, so what do you think? Let's say somebody says, what do you think of this poem I wrote? I will tell them, okay, so here's the deal. I can tell you exactly what I think about it in full, but you may or may not like that. I just want to know basically that I'm going to play prevent on FE, prevent defense on FE. I don't want to be subject to FE problems because of this. I actually don't care if I hurt his feelings. It never even crosses my mind that I might or that it matters.
That's literally management, right? Like you're just that's what you're doing. You're managing it, right? Like.
I mean, I'm prioritizing the values I prioritize, which are the aesthetic truth and the truth of my words, representing the accurately what I think about it, and not sugarcoating it because of a certain value of instrumentality as well. I've had a few rude awakenings in my life on occasion, and by and large, to the extent that I had one, everyone else is tiptoeing around something, and somebody comes up and tells me it was both memorable and helpful and changed me for the better. So there's that, I don't, but see, even that, I don't really use it as an argument, but I don't really think that because I don't really care about their feelings. It literally seems to me irrelevant. Like I can put myself in their shoes and think, well, if I get my feelings hurt because somebody tells me my poem sucks, then either the poem sucks or they're wrong.
Yeah. But it's still it's effectively is FE the way you choose your hills to die on by going, I recognize that hill, it's legitimate, but I will never cooperate with it that way. This is the hill. And it's like, and effectively you do FE because you just
right.
You don't go mess it up.
It's cheap and easy FE because it's saying, I want you to contractually agree ahead of time not to hold the FE accountable.
This reminds me of like the freaking Einstein with the thought experiment, the electrons. It's like we're observing the universe, so the quantum mechanics are doing this. Like that's so funny to me. That's the way this feels. Like
so to answer some questions here, first of all, Octavio Silva keeps saying, hey, isn't it possible this guy's an ENTP? He seems like an ENTP, So, okay, first of all, let me respond to that. My instincts on him are, I've been saying the whole time here that ENFJ.
Yeah.
Can I just say, if you guys ever watched my YouTube, you'd hear an entirely different register in my voice. Like, I have a deeper voice than this, everything. Like, he's just such a dominant male, and I'm very happy when I think someone that's intelligent is in control. So I just let that happen. I'm like, I'm a little girl around him. Like, what
Oh
are you
my
gonna
god, that is such a weird thing to hear, right? It's weird for me to hear because
do? Like, I'm from
that
Japan,
is
so I don't care.
not me, dude. It's like that has never been me.
Over there, and I'm really comfortable with that. So, like, I don't care. Like, I'm behaving the way a man is supposed to behave when there's a senior man that's like,
Look, you're inferring meanings.
American,
You're
I get
inferring
that.
meanings that never even fucking crossed my mind.
It's like,
Anyway,
whatever.
so here's the thing, Octavio. So I think he's an ENFJ because he's consistently frames things, even when he's not explicitly framing them in FE. He comes back to that FE frame all the time, and he's very well spoken. He's got good demonstrative NE and that sort of museum quality fourth slot TI. ENFJs have museum quality fourth slot TI, which means they don't have a lot of pieces, but the ones they have are well polished. It's like a small museum, you know?
I just like, give me the TE guy that's strong, and I'll just like, oh yeah, he's making sense. Yeah. So there. Yeah.
So, okay, let me see some more chat things here and make sure I don't neglect some of these questioners too much. Okay, so first of all, Winston's mom says, Lawnmower, I'm so confused. Why does everybody keep saying this is you? This guy, you're not Lawnmower, are you? Oh, no, he might be Lawnmower because
I'm not.
You're not? Okay.
No.
Because a Lawnmower is Christian. You said you were Christian. I think maybe that's why people are guessing that he might be Lawnmower. He never given me any indication that he was anybody other than Sean. So I've just been operating with the assumption that he is not Lawnmower. But I don't know. It doesn't matter. You know, I hate to tell you guys, Lawnmower is not his real name. His parents considered Lawnmower for a heartbeat or two. Well, they went with some more ordinary name. I'm quite confident.
Like Boomhauer.
You're like Boomhauer.
You just reminded me of the thing you said earlier. I don't know how to say it, but where the chunks of the words sound the same.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's just, I don't know how to say it either. It's just like, there's this kind of equivalency.
Do you understand what a shortcut that is to me? Like, if this stuff is real, right? Like, if my FE locks in on you and goes, dude, when this guy gives out reasoning, you grab that reasoning, and that's going to be great reasoning for the tribe. So it's like you're a magnet to me. You understand? Like, it's like,
well, thank
someone
you.
that's really clear broadcasting TE. That's a font I want to drink from so that I can go out in the tribe and be successful. Like, it makes, you know.
Okay, so let me respond to this here. I appreciate it, first of all, but the thing is, I've long argued or tried to argue that I don't need to really worry about the impacts of what I'm saying because people will always and have always heard things and taken, if anything, what they want and left everything else behind. And that's just the nature of human endeavor, right? So my initial claim was my positions will spread because they're better arguments and people prefer to win arguments over losing them.
I mean, it always comes back to this. Like, you're always talking about what you're doing, not who you are. Like, there's no ego in it. You're just like, you always talk about the superiority of the action and the effort and the process, and this produces this instead of like, oh, it's because it's coming from me. Because it's coming from me, guys. Like when somebody says, just like, trust me, you would never say that. You would never be arguing and like telling someone something, get stuck, and go, just trust me, right? Like,
I have proactively defensive third slot FE, so I, you know, at a certain point you have to. That means you have to get some certain dynamics down at least, because when I first started the YouTube channel, I engendered a lot more hatred.
But people that say trust me freak me out, because when people say trust me, I'm really afraid that there will be people out there that will just trust them, and that like, that person is causing harm and damage because they're clearly not one that has the like good TE like group things, like really good stuff. Because those people never say trust me. They make arguments of logic, and it's clear for people who can't think of it on their own but can see it and know it when they see it, you know. And when people say like just trust me, when they're like smoking mirrors and like, I'm gonna tell you why I'm so smart, look at this and this means this, it's like, and then they said just trust me. It's like, what? It's like, You know?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of versions of that.
But like people that are like,
Just read the book. Just read the book, or
and say, trust me, that freaks me out. Like I wish if they were alone doing it by themselves, fine. But if they can sucker even 2 more people into it, I feel like this is a horrible thing.
okay. Well, I mean, this is the thing. I came in taking that position about the narratives, right? That the better arguments right to the top. What I've actually witnessed, though, is this divide that between people who are capable or interested in having this idea exclude things, and people who are either incapable or not interested in having the idea exclude things. So it's like, if you don't like it, that being a given type means you're being put into a box, right? Like, oh, well, you're an ESFP. Don't put me in a box. You don't know me. You can't contain the incredibly unique wonder of a human being within a label. You know, if you're on that side of stuff, then you're fundamentally doing something different. And
I think
the problem is, though, it looks the same to third parties outside of both.
If you fear a thing, you think the thing's more powerful than everyone else. Like if I don't fear labels, that's because I don't think they have all that power. If you fear labels because you think they have that much power, that they're really going to be that confining, right? So like, you know, like I'm like labels can let us get understanding. Labels can get positive things. I'm not afraid of labels hurting me.
Right.
If labels hurting you, doesn't that mean you're more susceptible? Like that means you're really, really labeling shit like too much.
Well,
you know?
Here's what I think about the labeling aspect is, until I was able to identify, name, and understand abstractly my reflexive attentional ways, I had less free will than once I understood that, oh, this is something I can categorize, classify, make notes on. My actual real-time experience of going through the day, there are some occasions where usually something boneheaded, like, Eric, why the fuck did you do that? Or why do you think that? And that'll usually trigger me going, oh, that's an example of this kind of cognitive function thing right there, you know? So once I learned to do that, then I could actually note that the way I am is not the manifestation of the right way to be. Like, in other words, the problem with the world isn't actually that other people think differently than me. That's not actually the problem. They're not somehow falling short of the correct way to be, which is everybody's default until they learn about cognitive functions, in my opinion. Once you learn about cognitive functions, you realize, oh, I'm just doing that same thing that they're doing. I'm just being super biased about my own shit and insisting that that's the way to be. You know, it's like we have this approach. It's just like this. We say, okay, here's the rule, everybody. On any given day, you need to wear 1 t-shirt, 1 flannel, 1 sweater, and just 1 jacket, okay? That's the right amount of clothes to wear during the course of a day. But it's an insane idea to say, like, here's how people should wear clothes. It obviously is entirely contingent on the weather, where you are, what you're doing, and everything else. You can't universalize that. It's like saying everybody should drink 8 glasses of water a day. Well, I mean, if I'm in the desert sweating buckets, I'm gonna need a lot more than fucking 8 glasses.
So that's one thing to me, like, that I'm blessed in a way for getting to understand the FE thing. Like, I like the George Bernard Shaw quote about like the fruit. Like, I have a fruit, you have fruit. Now we trade fruit. We still have 1 fruit.
Say it again.
There's this George Bernard Shaw quote. I can't remember it precisely, but it's like, if I have a fruit, you have a fruit, and we exchange fruit, we each still have 1 fruit. If you have an idea and I have an idea, we exchange ideas. Now we each have 2 ideas. So like that, and then the Maya Angelou of like, people will forget what you've done, forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel, right? And like, basically these 2 things, to me, if there's any kind of meeting of the minds, my whole thing is like, I want to come, not playing anything close to the vest. I just want to show you all my data and all of my perspectives, and I want you to show me all your data, all your perspectives, and I have no supposition about what I'm going to walk away from the table from, but I do think that we'll walk away in harmony. Because I think if 2 people literally have all of the same perspectives that they've shared now, and all the same data that they've shared now, they will come to a consensus, obvious, that is what a human
Okay.
creature gather from that if they had those perspectives and that data. And so I always think that we're going to walk away agreeing. I always go into that. It's not even optimism. It's like, I sure hope it works out. It's like, my logic is like, I'm not even calling it logic. I'm just saying that really that's.
No, I feel you. It's, I always, I've said
like,
before too, I've said like reasonable people
Yeah.
should never disagree. But the point is, what I will say is this, that what you said there about
I always think there's something else. Like if we disagree, then it's something I haven't given or something you haven't given. That like there's something that we're just not sharing.
I wanted to respond to what you said about those quote. The quote is great. First of all, that quote is the best way I've heard. And I'm going to cop it immediately and use it to describe. That's the difference between metaphysical and physical objects in a nutshell. That's the difference between a metaphysical object and a physical object. Okay. So those are different things, and they naturally exist in different ecosystems. But the second thing is a different notion entirely, right? That people never forget how you made them feel is Maya Angelou's position. And the other guy was saying basically that you attain multiplication via sharing ideas. That's how you maximize your impact. Those are very different approaches, right? Maya Angelou's, it seems like an FI approach.
Like, like don't hurt each other's feelings, and don't just come in and stroke each other's dicks. That's stupid, right? It's like, you're going to forget that. Like, that's pure your own self feeling it in yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I jerk you off, like, you're not going to remember that, like anything. It's a totally you experience, right? So it's like, that's pointless. You know what I mean? Like, don't just say shit to say shit. Don't just sit here and be like, oh, yeah, we have words and like, blah, 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 right? Like, that's stupid. Like,
right. Well, I don't, look, the thing is, a lot of people, though, do use communication as a means of attaining a sense of connection with another person rather than talking about ideas. The other thing is you are displaying your extreme metaphysical bias by basically saying, if we can just work together to dismiss our individual particularism, our SI, which doesn't matter because it's in my polar, and just apply these universal truths about humanity, then surely we can agree. Of course.
Yeah, because I'm not in a discussion. I have no desire to like make this person appear inferior, make me appear superior, make them appear like weaker at logic or sort of skewed or biased for some way. Like I don't want any of that. Like I don't want to put any labels on their character whatsoever. Right? It's like
okay. Listen,
that's what
I want to read. I want to read something to you, okay? Because I've been doing this thing where I'm saying make a sentence for each of the types to try to distinguish between ESFJ and ENFJ. The thing I wrote for ENFJ is this: having already pointed you towards the best path, I will happily begin actually walking that path for you, reluctantly offering possible additions to my clear advice while shaking my head because what you call relevant experience is really just an unhealthy attachment to your past.
Well, the thing is like I'm literally learning it in that moment. Like that's what sucks about being an ENFJ. People think you're being preachy and teachery, and you're not. Like I have to say that, so I'm learning it for myself. Like I'm grabbing this knowledge like a rope and grabbing it and pulling it and going, oh, so that's how you can. I'm not telling you. This is for me. This is so that I can understand it. Like this is me processing and like making. I want to make this the rest of my life like now because of this conversation. And no matter how many books I read or whatever, I need that social thing to make it go. Like
well, the thing is, I find you delightful because, like you, I'm also a super metaphysical type and prioritize meanings and stuff over experiences. Sometimes in ways that make me seem oddly blind, because that's the weird thing about having a blind spot is that it kind of infests everything up that you do. Me, you, anybody, right?
I mean, my blind spots. Historically, I haven't cared too much. Like,
no, you don't. You don't. That's the thing. You don't care about your blind spot. You're not sensitive about it because you're so blind. You're not even aware.
Well, I heard this phrase like "pussy on a pedestal" like my whole life, right? Like especially from teenage years on. Heard it forever. Finally, when I'm like 23, I understand what it means, and I go, "Oh yeah, I kind of do," and I didn't care. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what it meant forever. And like people say it all the time, and I'm like, I have no idea what it means. And,
let me, David Sanderson. Can you tell me the time that this is happening tomorrow? Because I don't. That's right. I keep thinking I have something tomorrow, but it's Monday because it's a holiday. What time is the thing tomorrow? And Octavia Silva has asked a million times, can you please tell me the name of your YouTube channel, Sean, so that I can tell her so that she'll stop harassing me?
That's just, you can just click on my name if I'm in the chat, Rich.
That's not true. Look, on some devices with some platforms, it works. On a lot of devices and platforms, it doesn't. I can't do that. I can't click on name and go anywhere.
Okay.
So yeah, I've had this encounter before too with people where they go, just click on the name. Like at least half the people here can't do that. It doesn't work. YouTube's kind of buggy like that, I guess.
I didn't know that. Thank you for letting me know that. I didn't know that. Yeah.
4 p.m. Okay, cool. Thank you. 4 p.m. I'll put it on my calendar. David Sanderson. All right. So he's going to, I think he said he's going to put his channel or something.
Yeah.
I will go over here. No, over here. If you put it in the chat here, I'll copy and paste it over there if you want.
Okay.
And this is the problem with popping out the chat. I should just not pop it up. Eric is so high right now. I'd chill with Eric for sure. I'm not so high right now. What I am is kind of tore up. I haven't got a lot of sleep the last few nights. And, you know, at a certain point, sleeplessness or sleep deprivation starts turning into a kind of drunkenness. Like your give a fuck starts going down. You start getting more silly. If I'm in a good mood, I start like cracking jokes all the time, and I kind of slur my words a little bit because I've had like 4 hours of sleep the last 3 nights or something total combined.
I mean, I experience a lot like staying up. So like, there's a lot of pleasure that comes out of it though. Like, to my understanding, it's like cortisol, etc. Like all kinds of different stuff, and it feels good. So like, I feel good staying up 2 days.
Well, I tell you, Sean, last night it was whatever time, I don't know, 3 a.m, and I was sitting here like fretting, like, oh, like I'm gonna get in trouble. So this is basically what I was feeling. I didn't articulate those words to myself, but it's just pervades the sense that, oh shit, I'm gonna get in trouble. I know I shouldn't stay up and this again. I've been up too much. I need to sleep. Blah blah blah. How many of us have internalized this shit, right? Like, why am I feeling like I'm doing something wrong here? I'm not doing anything wrong. I should go to bed when I actually want to crash out. I shouldn't try to force myself to sleep. I mean, it's not going to work. Why am I like, who am I going to get in trouble with?
I never took naps at school. Like, I couldn't do it. I could never do that. Like,
I do need the sleep, but you know, whatever. I gotta have to split. So I'm gonna see you guys later because I'm going to play around here for a little bit and then try to go to bed at a reasonable hour.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Good night. See you all later. Thank you for being here. Maybe you feel wrong because you neglect your body a bit. Like, I mean, the thing is this. It boils down to this. Either I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to go to sleep because I really decide that. Or I'm going to stay up. In either scenario, it does me no good to feel guilty about it. After all, I'm not wronging anybody, including myself. I feel better when I take better care of myself, but I'm not harming myself. I'm not like, I don't feel awful. I just know that I'm not getting enough sleep. Anyway, I got to split. Yeet.